I was just like, shit, this is trucking right here. Damn, I better get used to it. Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Too hot to drink. We'll wait. I think that if you're looking for some motivation, you'll find it here. I think that if you are scared of doing anything in your life, taking a risk for anything, having to do with this industry or not, whatever it is, you can find some motivation. You can find something from this video. I've worked so many years to build who I am today and what I have. Hearing this story, you guys will realize why I'm the person I am today. You guys will realize how I handle being here in this seat right now, out here living in the wilderness. You guys will understand. And yes, I could do it alone. I could very well do this by myself, but do I want to? No. What a different outfit this is than my usual lately, huh? Yep, it's that kind of video. I'm gonna tell you guys a fun fact. This is what I wear to truck stops. If I could wear a plastic bag over my head, I would. Why? Because I don't want to get that kind of attention here. As much as invisible as I could be, as much as I could just slip into the bathroom and slip right out, walking past the trucks, I will do it. I'm really gonna focus on the owner operating side in trucking because I'm really passionate about it. So right now, I'm parked in Wyoming and the road is closed. I-80 is closed going both ways, and I'm here at the this is the Petro that's right in Laramie. So I'm parked here and we're gonna be stuck here for like 8 to 10 hours. That's the dealio. What better time to make a video? I want to pause to say thank you for all my followers. Thank you guys for supporting me. There has been times that over this year when I've had really hard days that you guys will message me or comment something literally like so fucking nice, like things that I wouldn't even comment on someone else's YouTube channel because, you know, that's deep. I guess there's boogers coming out of my nose currently. Hopefully you can't see. It is a journey, and it's not just like, oh, I'm a trucker and oh, I'm pretty and oh yeah, like love me. Like this whole thing, this is my life. This trucking is my life, but I don't let the seriousness of life and adulthood get to me. That's really what it is. And continuing on with my story, you know, besides thank you to everyone that supports me, even if you don't know the whole story, because no one knows the story. Oh my God. I've been so focused in the grind of like building this business day after day, year after year. I've been only focusing on that. I didn't care what anyone thought of me. I didn't care what they thought of us, like relationship aside, just us working together, just our dynamic, just us in each other's lives, whatever. Like, I didn't care. I just did not care. Priorities: fucking roof over my head, food in my belly, and water in my cup, and ooh, a good old Love's coffee. You know, the last time I sat down in the truck and like talked for a long time, oh, besides the 100K review of this truck was a long time ago when I was doing the old versus new truck comparison, and I had one of these, and it's nostalgic. We're in a different place now, guys. We're in a different place. Where did I leave off? I get so distracted when I do these things. I was saying I didn't give a shit what anyone thought. Yeah, but nobody knows the real story. Nobody knows how this works, what I do, what my partner does, our team thing, our trucking thing, the rest of our life thing. But I figure it's time that I tell you guys. Why not? So let's go back many years ago. I'm going to talk about my story and my partner's story separate because we did live very separate lives before we came together and did this together. And I'm going to tell you how we started it. Me and my partner have a very different relationship. We have, the dynamic is not typical, I suppose. I've been used to it all these years, but I don't expect other people to be able to understand it, how it is. To describe him is, if he was here right now, he'd tell you the same thing, which he might at the end of the video if he gets back. He's in the truck stop and we're taking time to ourselves. We kind of do this. That's why I was in there earlier by myself, because I just needed some time to do me, you know? Everybody needs that. But he is easygoing and he is kind and giving, and he is unconditional. I love that about him. I appreciate all those things about him so much. And I can be very driven at times and ambitious, and those are qualities we don't share. So rewinding back like 5 years ago, he worked in a restaurant, I worked in a restaurant. I moved away by myself from Hawaii, where we both lived, and we met at work many years before that. And then I told him to come move out with me and that I will find a way to make our lives better. That's our relationship. Is he loves being told what to do. He begs me to just tell him what to do, guide him through things. He doesn't want to have to think. He doesn't want to have to make big decisions. He doesn't want to have to. It's not him. And it's taken me so many years to accept that and not get passive aggressive to him about it, because a lot of times it feels as if though I put a lot of work in and it's not even. But that's another story for another day. There's nothing wrong with the way that he is. He is him, and I fully accept him the way he is. He has his qualities, I have mine. That's our separate life, that's our personal life. That was that. I completely did not want to work in a restaurant very much longer than I already did. So we were looking for ads somewhere, and he was like looking at warehouse workers and stuff, which is like a really hard job and it's very underpaid. And he saw like ads about trucking, and neither of us knew anything about it. We didn't know anybody that was doing that. What happened was he went away to go do some bee trucking and slowly get into it, because he was really afraid to. He was terrified, which was mind-blowing to me, because I didn't see why he wouldn't be capable of doing it. Like, he has every physical and mental ability to do it, but that's something he couldn't see yet. So he went away. We lived apart for almost a year. I was working on my stuff, he was working on his, and then I found him a job in Denver. I told him, okay, we're gonna move to Denver, Colorado, and we're gonna live there. I'm gonna work my jobs, you do yours, we'll see where this goes. I don't know what we're gonna do in the future, but we're just gonna save, and we're gonna come up with a better life somehow. So I was working 2 jobs, which I was absolutely miserable at. And he worked at Sigma, which is a sister company of Cisco. I found the ad on Craigslist back in the day. I don't know if Craigslist is still around, but I found the ad for this company. They were paying $70,000 a year. You had to move everything by hand, yada yada hoo-ha. It was just so different for him. Like, that's not the kind of jobs that he's ever had. So I filled out his application for this trucking company, turned it in, pretty much just made him go and do this job. And at that point, he couldn't drive like bigger trucks really yet, but he just winged it, and it was amazing. I'm really proud of him. He just put himself out there. He went to a trucking school in New York. It was like $3,500. They teach you the bare minimum. They never taught him how to back up. Basically what happened was he did that for like a year. And how this all started was, I had a friend, and she came to visit me. She had a new boyfriend, and her boyfriend was telling us about his job. He was a little bit like, he wasn't very sharing much information. He was just like, oh, you know, I own my own truck and I work for myself. And I'm like, what? You can own a semi-truck? How? You're like, you can work for yourself with a semi-truck? Like, how does that even work? And he didn't tell us like what owner operating was, and my partner didn't know what owner operating was. So my partner at that time went to work, and I told him, you know, ask the guys at work, see if anyone knows what owner operating is. You know, I'm very curious. Like, for some reason, it just really got my attention. I don't know what it was, okay? I was already starting businesses before that, and I was like really into this. Like, I just loved it. It was very fulfilling doing business in general. And I loved having a product that people would love and enjoy. Is just very fulfilling to me. That's all I knew at that point. So he went to work, and he couldn't get any more information on owner operating, and anyone that could give him like, I don't know if like company driving is a whole different world than owner operating, but no one there really knew what it was. Like, nobody really knew what it's like. They're completely separate. Like, they're worlds. Like, they don't have friends that are doing it. I know that a lot of people do too, but I guess in that kind of job he was in, they're just like all about company driving. I've been here for 10 years and like I'm on this tier or whatever. So at that point, here's what I did next. At this point in my life, I was really ambitious, really driven. I would do anything. I was willing to sacrifice anything to make a better life. We were not in the best place, and we hadn't been for many years, and financially, and we've been in a lot of bad situations because we couldn't afford to. And it was like a really good learning process, because at that point I had to open my mind. The place I was in my life, I had to do something different. I had to make a change. Obviously what I was doing was not working, and if I kept doing it, I was going to go insane. And my partner was really miserable at his job too. He was really miserable. He didn't want to be a trucker to begin with. He wasn't happy being a company trucker, which is very understandable. And he was so miserable, and we barely saw each other for that whole next year when he was working that job. It worked for us because we don't have one of those relationships where we're like really clingy. Like, we are our own people, we do our own thing, and we're really our best friends before anything, and we were best friends to begin with. And at the end of the day, we're always best friends. He'll wipe my ass, I'll wipe his. TMI. So anyway, what I did was I started like Googling stuff. I just Googled stuff. So I Googled thing around how to have your own trucking company, how to own your own truck, and then I learned the term owner operator. And then I went to YouTube. YouTube is where I found a whole bunch of random dudes that were owner operators, and their channels were like fairly smallish, like kind of like mine, and they would talk about like all this stuff, and I was just like a sponge. I just soaked it all up, and I was like, oh my god, like I found that was the only way to learn it. I couldn't find any other way. They had some books, but it was a lot of books were about brokerage and like other stuff, but like true owner operating, and like it's everyone's path is different. It's kind of hard to make like a set way of, okay, you do this, then you do that, then you do that. Everyone has their own way of being successful in it. So I followed a bunch of guys, and they were leased on to carriers, and they had like several trucks with the carriers, and they were doing it that way. I remember like 2 guys specifically. The next step I did was I just typed in Google search owner operating jobs. I typed that in, and in that instant, I found an ad. Okay, so what I did was, at that time, I was living in Florida by myself, and my partner was still in Colorado finishing up his job. I just had bought a house, and it was my first investment house, and I was setting it up by myself. Hey, don't lick my coffee. I was setting it up by myself to rent it out, which was like the craziest idea I ever did. Like, those several months were like insane, okay? During that time, I built up a business plan for trucking. And I don't know what it is that made me so passionate about it, but I just got it. Something about trucking and owner operating and doing this yourself just clicked in my head. And I just was like, I had to do it. I had to find out. Like, people were throwing these numbers around, which, you know, these truckers like to talk about all these numbers and all the money they're making and all the business and the lifestyle, whatever. And I had to find out. And I didn't care what I had. I was just willing to risk it all at that point. Now it would be so much harder to risk all that, but we're talking about then. So then mashed potatoes watching me the whole time I talk and all my like expressions, and he's like, and because I was down in Florida and I knew I didn't really want to live there, one of the YouTubers said that trucking in the Midwest was like one of the best. So I went and looked up all the states like Kansas, Missouri, like Indiana, Iowa, all those states. I went to look up owner operating jobs, and I put like the location there. And what came up was in Missouri, which was in St. Louis at that time, Silver Trucking, which is the carrier we're still with till this day, which is like pretty crazy. But they came up, and their ad was really convincing. Their ad was like, you can make solo $200-something thousand a year, gross, yada yada hoo-ha. We treat you like family. You don't have to deal with a lot of bullshit, which I was seeing at that time, a lot of ads that they were just not like that. So that ad really stood out to me. So what I did was I called them and got the information. Okay, like they charge 12%, like this, like that, and got all the information of like what I would need. Like, do I need to buy my own truck? Like, what do I do next? And after that, I went to go check all the nearby states to see who sold a semi truck. And I was literally doing this all by myself. Where was I at the time? I don't even know where, but I was on my laptop, and I was looking at At that time, I didn't know that I should buy from a dealership. I thought I should buy it privately from, not privately, but I thought I should buy it from like a small mom and pop shop. I thought it would be like more trustworthy. So I was calling all these places and saying, hey, like literally, okay, I'll be like calling these places all around Kansas City area, like Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. And I'll just be calling these places and I was like, hey, I need a semi-truck. And they're like, what kind of semi-truck? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, one that has all the wheels and one that moves. Like, I was like, at that time, oh no, you know what? I did some research. I found somewhere saying that I shouldn't get a truck older than like 500 something thousand miles. And then I knew that the trucks that my husband used, he didn't even know how many horsepowers, he didn't even know anything about it, he just knew it was a Volvo. So I said, okay, he uses Volvos, I'm gonna look up Volvos. And then he said sometimes he uses Freightliner. I didn't know what any of these meant, but I just Googled it. I was like, Volvo versus Freightliner, which one's better? And a lot of people voted Freightliner, which is pretty surprising, but I think both are fine. So I told them I just want a Freightliner, like 500,000 miles. Tell me what you got. And several people, they were all around at that time like $50,000. And I found out this one shop, our very first truck, okay, was a truck that I bought all by myself. Because I asked him like, what kind of truck should we get? Like what? And he said he just had no idea. At that time, he wasn't very fond of the idea of us doing this. He didn't want to have anything to do with trucking. He was just over it. And I convinced him that it was a great idea. So today he has a different story. You talk to him today, he feels completely different about it. And he's like, oh my God, I can't imagine if I didn't go with you, whatever. He was so done with trucking and done with everything. We made a pact. We made an agreement. I told him, I will do everything. You have your CDL already. You just drive. I will do everything. I will buy the truck. I will make the calls. I will do the taxes. I will do the paperwork. I will figure out the insurance. I will everything else that has to do with it, right? I will figure out how to make us money. Because he's like, how are you even gonna make money? Like, where do you get loads from? Where do you get money from? I was like, oh, there's this thing called a carrier, and they can help. Haha, what a surprise. And yes, we can get loads from a carrier, but we get them ourselves because it's better. I can't believe I'm telling you guys this so far later. Like, I feel like this should have been the first video I ever made, but it's not. So at that point, that was our pact. He said, I hate business stuff. I just want to be a driver. I just want to drive. That's the only thing I'm willing to do. So I promised him that I'd take care of everything else. So I went to buy the truck myself. I arranged it all. We got off the plane. We got there, and I didn't know what to ask. So we went up there, and then my partner was like, why are the wheels so worn down? He was like, you're selling us this truck and the wheels need to get changed in like a couple months. That's what they were saying. And then we were like, he literally knew nothing about semis. Nothing. I knew even less about semis. I've only been in one time, and I just sat there and just looked around, and that was it. I had no fucking idea what to do. And you can't just Google it. Ooh, like, what kind of semi should I buy? And boom, there's the answer. No, it's like there's like a million different ones. There's a million different specs on it. I didn't even understand what 500 horsepower. I think our first truck, it was like 500 horsepower. It was a 10-speed, and it was a 2012. The thing I didn't realize is it's a 2012, but why does it only have like 500,000 miles on it? Because it's been sitting. The idle percentage on that truck was like 50%, and basically we rode the truck down the road. He couldn't drive a 10-speed, so we were like kind of like down the road. I didn't have my CDL, so I didn't know I could drive a truck. I was just like, shit, this is trucking right here. Damn, I better get used to it. So he was, you know, grinding the gears and whatever down the street. We got, I think, 30 minutes down the road, and the truck fucking exploded. Like, it blew up, black smoke, white smoke out the back. I think it had a smokestack on that thing. Anyways, it was like fucking exploding, and all of a sudden we started degenerating, and we went from like 70 down to like 10 miles an hour real quick, and we were in the middle of the freeway, and luckily there was an exit coming up, and we just rolled onto the exit. Like, we rolled onto the exit without the choice to do so. And then there goes the story of how the